Honey is nature's sweet nectar. It nourishes, energizes, and even heals us. For thousands of years, families across the world have been benefiting from the consumption of honey, and nobody understands this better than the good folks here at Maid. We believe that honey is more than just a product, it's a way of life. We consider packing honey an art, and we have qualified and passionate people at every level of our cooperative who hold this to be true.
Well, Maid Honey is a Canadian-owned company. It's been around for over 50 years. It's actually owned by the Manitoba Honey Cooperative and the Alberta Honey Cooperative. And what makes it unique is that the ownership of the company is actually Canadian beekeepers. So obviously the Canadian beekeepers based right here in Western Canada are very proud of the fact that they get to supply honey, Canadian honey, to their company year in and year out. The reason Maid and the cooperative came into being many years ago was that there was a need in Canada for such an association to market great Canadian honey that we have. Luckily for us here in Canada, we actually produce more honey than we consume. So we have a fair amount of honey for export sales. So this is where we play a role here at Maid Honey also. So we sell honey to Canada, but we also sell into many other countries.
Once we became the largest packer in Canada, especially Western Canada, we were able to go over into Europe and open up the European Common Market. After that, we were also working on opening up the U.S. West Coast markets, mainly in the retail sector and a lot of the industrial suppliers down there. In the last 20 years, we went over to Asia and opened up Japan. And since then, just in the last 5-6 years, we were able to go over into China and open up a lot of the retail accounts over there with the Maid brand, along with some private label. And also then went into the Middle East and were able to open up the Emirates and a couple of accounts in Saudi Arabia.
Beekeeping not only produces honey, but also, as you know, beekeeping is very important for pollination of our fields, of all our crops in Canada. So it is estimated that the crops, the value that the beekeeping pollination brings to the crops in Canada is well over $1 billion. So the consumer recognizes the Maid brand as 100% pure Canadian honey. That's important to us as a company, and that's important to our consumer to know that. And also for quality, right? The consumer that buys Maid is looking for a quality product, and that's what we put in and day out. What's important for us too is to celebrate our history, our heritage that we have. We recognize that a lot of people have put a lot of work into this company over the years when we're talking about staff and we're talking about management. And thanks to them is why we are where we are today. And thanks to them is why we have the reputation that we have in the marketplace. So that's important for us to remember. Also, what's important is that as far as our culture goes, is that our beekeepers, our members, some are second, third generation, that have been in the beekeeping industry. So they know the product very well.
Beekeepers from Western Canada started Maid in the 1950s, and it's the relationship they hold with their bees that puts the soul into our honey. Their standards and passion ripple throughout the whole organization.
We enjoy ourselves at what we're doing, and that's a pretty important part of it too. But as far as the actual bees go, keep them healthy. If you reward them with good management, they'll reward you.
I just find them fascinating, and to be out in nature, with nature, you can't describe how nice it is. And then the bees themselves are nature, and they're just so fascinating. And I think you can't do bees or honey production unless you do love bees and what they do. Just speaking for honey, I believe this is the Canadian beekeepers trying very hard to produce a product that's clean and safe. And we have the best honey in the world.
Because of the vital role bees play in the ecosystem, environmentalism is inherent to the production and distribution of honey. Honey barrels are continuously refurbished, and Maid's blow molding facility not only produces the bottles used for packing, all unused plastic is recycled. Our factories in Spruce Grove, Alberta, and Winnipeg, Manitoba hold the highest standards, and since Maid can trace every bottle produced right back to the hive, our customers know that Maid honey is always the highest quality. Here's a look at what happens in these facilities.
Well, it'll start at our receiving, where our beekeepers, our owners, bring in 100% Canadian pure honey. And from there it's received, it's then tested, where it's brought up to our state-of-the-art laboratories in each plant. Once they've received the grade on it, it's batched away and be able to use and brought out when we do batch selecting for whatever product we're going to be doing the upcoming day or weeks. Canada number 1 is a standard that CFIA has put on honey packers. At Maid Honey, though, we not only meet Canada number 1 standards, we have 100% pure Canadian honey and 100% product of Canada. What they'll do is the shipper will bring it down to our barrel dumping area. He'll then take it, invert it onto the tanks, have it melt out, where the next day it's ready to be used to liquid or creamed honey. And from there, it's if it's going to be liquid honey, it's going to be put through a number of filters to fine filter it, remove all the impurities, and break down the sugar crystals to get a nice long shelf life.
A lot of people like to use the liquid part of honey is that it's got more measurables. It's more user-friendly when you want to use it as a bacon ingredient or etc. You can pour it, you can measure it. Creamed honey in Canada is a very large part of our base, and really what the difference is when all the honey is extracted in a hive, it's in liquid form. If you leave it set up, the natural crystallization takes effect, and the crystals bond and get very tight, and it forms what we call a creamed honey, which is really a hard base honey.
Creamed honey is coarse filtered. Honeys, again, both comes in. We could use the same honey for either line, because again, honey is just pure. Nothing is added. There's no preservatives. Bring it into the cooler where it's going to sit for 4 days for it to set, and then be able to go out on containers and be shipped throughout the world.
Maid is a brand recognized all over the world, and we're extremely proud of our packaging and design. Thanks to our talented sales and marketing team, consumers know they're getting 100% pure Canadian honey. Because at Maid, we are a team, with everyone locked into a hive mentality. The management at Maid understand this, and they know a company has to evolve with the times. They're dedicated to making sure Maid doesn't just meet the highest standards, they set the standards.
I think from the perspective of the broker, what's important is that we instill in them that our product is quality, and that they can, with assurance, take the product to their end users, to their distributors, and be assured that they're selling a pure 100% product. From the distributor perspective, they also are looking always for quality, for high standard products, and we fit that bill. We have very high standards when it comes to food safety, not only from our beekeepers' side, obviously, but also in our plants, where our plants are HACCP. So food safety is very important to us, and that's something we know is very important to our distributors and our end users. What's really unique about Maid is the fact that it is owned by beekeepers. So our beekeepers are our suppliers, and they actually own the company. So they have an invested interest in making sure that the product that they put out every day, obviously with the help of their bees, is top quality. So they understand the company very well. They know what the expectations are, and they do a very good job with that and making sure that we get quality product. So
we have really appreciated being associated with Maid. It's taken an awful lot of pressure off us, because Maid is the marketing, does our marketing for us.
And we've come to love the Maid because they're really serious about making sure it's a good Canadian honey product, and we're proud to be part of that.
Well, there you have it. Maid is a cooperative, people-first company owned and operated by Canadian beekeepers. 100% pure and naturally Canadian.
Well, we really have the perfect product to work with. It's Mother Nature's perfect food, and we're very proud of that.
I mean, spreading sweetness around the world, how can you go wrong?